Hello, everyone. We'll get ready for another remarkably hot day. Once again, we're talking about record high temperatures across Iowa being tied or broken this afternoon. You know it's going to be a hot day when we start with temperatures like this. Look how many are in the mid to upper 70s at 8 a.m. in the morning. Not a good sign. So check out what happens in the afternoon. It looks like highs, no matter where you are in the state, are going to be in the low to mid 90s. That's going to be the same. The difference is going to be the wind. So in the far eastern part of the state, just got to call it a breezy day with gusts mainly around 20 miles per hour. Now in the central part of the state, I'm going to call it windy, gusts around 30 miles per hour. But in the far western part of the state, including places like Sioux City, very windy. I think gusts could reach up to 40 miles per hour there. Now because winds are going to be the lightest in the east, that's probably where it's going to be feeling the hottest. It looks like in the far eastern part of the state, we've got a heat advisory again. It looks like feels like temperatures, including in the Quad Cities, could reach the upper 90s this afternoon. So if this is too hot for you, a cold front does arrive late this afternoon. But for the far western part of the state, kind of a slow-moving cold front. So it does look like it's going to get stormy in the western part of the state late this afternoon, early this evening. Latest models have the storms pushing in around Sioux City about 6 o'clock this afternoon. And I do think they're going to be strong when they're rolling in. And they could be severe. We are certainly talking about the possibility of damaging wind, hail, and maybe, yes, a small chance for EF0 or EF1 tornado. But as our temperatures come down in the evening hours, this line of storms is going to be weakening. Now, there's still a little bit of disagreement in the models about how quickly that line weakens. Now, this model is a little bit aggressive in the weakening, saying that we're kind of transitioning just to regular thunderstorms by 9 o'clock in the evening. Others maintain the intensity a little bit longer, but we are confident that the storms will be fizzling out as they push to the east, and I do think that the chance for any severe storms will be over with by midnight. Maybe still some weak storms around, but no more severe storms in the forecast. So based on a blend of the various models, this is where the severe threat is for this evening. It is certainly highest, once again, in the northwestern part of the state, most concerned about severe storms around the Sioux City area. And it's around Sioux City where we could see wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour, up to quarter-size hail, and can't even rule out an EF0 or EF1 tornado. Now, those storms are going to be weakening as they push east, but if the storms really overachieve and if they move real quickly, it's possible, we've got to leave an outside chance for even places as far east as Waterloo, that maybe you could be looking at some wind gusts around 50 miles per hour, maybe some penny-sized hail. We're not going to be talking about 70 mile per hour wind gusts or quarter-size hail by that point, but maybe some storms could still overachieve and reach the Waterloo area. Not worried about severe storms in the Quad Cities this evening, but your chance for severe storms comes tomorrow, because the cold front doesn't reach you tonight, but it will reach you tomorrow. So let's take a look at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. Still could be some weak storms around. It's probably mostly going to be showers in the central part of the state. In places like Fort Dodge, Des Moines, probably the best chance of rain for the morning commute. It looks like the better chance of rain for Mason City, Waterloo is probably going to be around lunchtime, but notice how the activity kind of dying out around lunchtime. Looks like more of a transition to isolated showers. In fact, there are some hints that in the late afternoon, it could be completely dry across the state. And look at the difference in temperatures. Tomorrow, certainly some variety across the state. Depends on if the front has made it to you or not. Look at the mid-70s in the western part of the state. And even in the eastern part of the state, because of the additional cloud cover tomorrow is going to be a cooler day, probably topping out mainly in the mid to upper 80s. Also, not much wind anywhere in the state tomorrow. Light winds across the board. Now, the key time is what's going to happen in the late afternoon, early evening hours. We know the storms are going to fire up again, but the uncertainty, again, some variation in the models, is where do they fire up? Now, this model says they fire up east of the Quad Cities. Some have them firing up right over the Quad Cities, and some have them firing up to the west of the Quad Cities. And that will ultimately depend on if you're going to see severe storms in the Quad Cities. So that's where the uncertainty lies for the late afternoon and early evening hours. Right now, Quad Cities is certainly under the gun. If those storms do fire up right over the Quad Cities or a little bit to the west, maybe over Waterloo, those storms could peak over the Quad Cities. So what's most likely for the far eastern part of the state for tomorrow, late afternoon, evening hours, heavy rain and lightning. But got to leave in the chance for wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour quarter-size hail, and if those storms hang out in one spot too long, could be a few flooded roads as well. Of course, I'll keep you updated on the latest.